The website Pornhub has just shut off the entire state of Utah. And I mean, shutting off access to its website. So now, according to Vice News, as of today, anybody accessing Pornhub from a Utah-based IP address will not be directed to the homepage, but instead will be met with a video explaining why you are not able to access this website and not be able to, well, and not to get too graphic, but will not be able to use those videos as an aid to completion. So now there's a video here of Cherie DeVille, and she explains, and she's a member of the Adult Performer Advocacy Committee, and she explains why. She says, as you may know, your elected officials in Utah are requiring us to verify your age before allowing you to access our website. So you might think, well, what's the issue? Should we not have age verification? Should we not make it so that children are not able to access this website? Yeah, well, it would be nice to not have children be able to access this website. Yes. And so, you know, one of the ways that they tried to do it is to pass these age verification laws, which unfortunately are not having the intended effect, and actually are punishing adults for trying to access this website. So let me explain. Or actually, I should let DeVille explain. She says, while safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission, giving your ID card every time you want to visit an adult platform is not the most effective solution for protecting our users. In fact, they argue that it will actually put your children and your privacy at risk. Now, how? Again, she'll get into this. In addition, she says mandating age verification without proper enforcement gives platforms the opportunity to choose whether or not to comply. As we've seen in other states, it just drives traffic to sites with far fewer safety measures in place. Very few sites are able to compare to the robust trust and safety measures we currently have in place to protect children and user privacy. Any legislation must be enforced against all platforms offering adult content. She also adds, the safety of our users is one of our biggest concerns, and we believe the best and most effective solution for protecting children and adults alike is to identify users by their device and allow access to age-restricted materials and websites based on that identification. So already they're offering alternatives that are actually more effective than someone having to basically out themselves by showing a government ID in order to access those materials. Which, again, is a huge violation of personal privacy. Now, she also adds that until a resolution is offered, we have made the difficult decision to completely disable access to our website in Utah, and urges them to contact their representatives and demand device-based verification that makes the internet safer while it's respecting privacy. So, look, this is good. Now, Utah, Governor Spencer Cox had signed... Cox. Wow. Okay.
Sexual anarchy.
Whoops. That's a Freudian slip like you wouldn't believe. Spencer Cox signed SB 287, called the Online Pornography Viewing Age Requirements Law. And this was signed into March and will go into effect, well, today, actually. Now, the law says a commercial entity that knowingly and intentionally publishes or distributes material harmful to minors on the internet from a website that contains a substantial portion of such material shall be held liable if the entity fails to perform reasonable age verification methods to verify the age of an individual attempting to access the material. So, this is one of those situations, this is one of those laws that have a, I would say, good intent, bad execution. And this seems to happen a lot with government. They have good intent, bad execution, and actually ends up doing kind of the opposite of what they want to do. And it also punishing adults who, let's be honest, in Utah loves Pornhub. And now the adults there are going to have to use alternative measures, and they will use alternative measures. Of course they will. Now, in January, Pornhub also started requiring identification from Louisiana-based users, following the passage of a law that makes porn sites liable for content deemed harmful to minors. And this is one of those copycat bills. And one of those bills also was passed in Arkansas. So you have all of these red states, by the way, who don't seem to have any other problems. So they're immediately going after pornography. They're going after drag shows. They're going after, books in libraries, in schools, transgender students, transgender athletes. And by the way, in places where there are no transgender athletes, they're passing bans anyway. So they're looking for a problem. They're passing a solution to a problem that does not exist. That's not a real problem. And so that's what they're doing. And again, it's like, don't you have anything better to do? Don't you have anything that's more pressing for your state? No. In fact, in 2016, Utah had declared pornography a public health crisis and an epidemic that is harming the citizens of Utah and the nation, which again is pretty funny because Utah is is an incredibly large consumer of that content. In fact, Utah is considered the online pornography capital of the United States, with the most consumers logging on in the nation, logging on and getting off. I said it.
Sexual anarchy.
Weird. The place that seems to, consider it the worst happens to be filled with people who love it. And for me, it always goes back to, I think, projection, right? They desperately want to get on. They desperately do. Well, get on and get off. And if they can't, then they don't want anyone else to either. No, just let people live their lives. Again, there are different ways to protect children from accessing these websites. Device-based verification is one of those ways. But instead, forcing, again, adults to show an ID, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, experts also say that age verification is not effective at protecting children online. It actually only works to drive material that is harmful to minors to less safe spaces on the internet, like the dark web, for example. And look, if your kids are smart enough to circumvent these measures, you might want to have a conversation with them. Instead of having the government step in to fill the role of parents in being able to stop children from accessing that content. I mean, what is it? Parents need to be parents. Parents need to do their job and not have the government. Okay, well, weird, because now you're literally trying to have the government do the job that you said the parents should do. So what is it? No, just let the parents, first educate their parents on how to, be able to block these websites and make it so that their children cannot access this stuff. And allow these things like device-based verification to be more of a standard. That way you could actually protect children and allow people to have a little bit of
sexual anarchy,
and everybody's happy. Oh, by the way, one more thing to add to this. Apparently experts also say that these kind of age verification measures also expose adults to risks of identity theft. Well, that makes sense, because if you're having to show your ID, yes, it is easier for people to steal that information and then use it to impersonate you. It also, adds to the risk of private data hacks as well as extortion. So, I mean, think about it this way too. You're no longer anonymous when you're logging onto these sites. Of course, there are going to be people who are going to use that against you as well. Oh, I see you, councilman, or I see you, a politician in Utah, signing into a little bit of ebony. There's some ebony over there, and there's some. Looks like you've been looking at trends. Interesting. You wouldn't want that information being used against you, would you? You're gonna have to do what we say. So yes, this blackmail is a definite risk. Again, good intentions, terrible execution. Utah, undo this, do something else. And hopefully this ban, Pornhub cutting off services to Utah forces people, these politicians, who probably partake themselves, by the way, to have to revisit their law and actually find real solutions.